Welcome back to the Links Golf Podcast. I'm Al Lunsford, digital editor for Links, joined by Joe Passoff. And Joe, I did one of my favorite things in golf recently. Was out for the Pebble Beach Links event, the Links Invitational at Pebble Beach last week, and we had a great time there. We had an exceptionally good first couple of days at Spanish Bay, Spyglass, and then it was blowing about 40 miles an hour at Pebble Beach and balls rolling off the green at 6. It was a challenging day at the number one public course in America. But during that week, I was able to sneak away to a little municipal course that people know about, one of the great hidden gems in the country, Pacific Grove. And I went first off. I teed off, and it was still dark outside when I was teeing off. Deer walking around, dew on the ground, and that is one of my favorite things in golf is to be the first off, be dew sweeping, and finish your round. We were done in 3 hours, maybe less. Course is not very long out there, but to be able to just have no one in front of you, seize the day, and be done with your round in plenty of time. You can still have brunch afterwards if you wanted to, because you're already done playing. But that sparked an idea for me for this conversation today. And if you're confused by the title of the episode or anything like that, we're just talking about things, situations, scenarios, or just quirks about the game of golf that we love. So this will go in a lot of different directions, I think, based on the list that Joe and I have put together. But we're calling this our favorite things in golf, or our favorite golf things. So, Joe, anything else to add about? I guess I've already checked one off my list, going off first off and dew sweeping. But anything else you got there?
Yeah, obviously a fun topic, one we all sit around and discuss with each other in a variety of settings. It's just the kind of things that you warm to, that whenever the topic turns this way, or you're on a golf course, or you're contemplating a trip, uh, gosh, what is it that so appeals about golf, about going to play golf and playing golf? And it's just seemed like a natural to kind of put a few of our ideas together and say, yeah, this is what makes us happy as one of our favorites. I mean, you know, everybody loves birdies and and all the good stuff that comes with results. But there's a whole lot of other things tangential to just what your score is, that add to how much we love this game.
Yeah, it could be things you don't even realize, like, between playing golf, being a golfer, loving the game, watching it on TV. There are little things that you just fill you with excitement and joy that you may not have been able to actually tangentially say, this is one thing I love about golf. But if you start thinking about those things that kind of excite you about the game, or even watching it, it's as it was for me. I was like, well, there are very tiny things that it's just like this one thing. There's nothing better than X as a golfer. So we'll get into it there. I'll piggyback off of my first one into my second one. So playing at Pacific Grove, a municipal course. One of the other things I love about golf is municipal golf, particularly interesting municipal golf. I mean, there's plenty of munis out there, I think, that are sort of, mundane, and somebody's cutting the grass with their personal lawnmower. And that's not really what I'm talking about. Pacific Grove, Goat Hill Park in Oceanside, California. The Muni in Charleston was one of my favorite rounds I played last year. And Winter Park is one of my favorite little courses anywhere, the nine-holer, just in that suburb of Orlando. All of those have some quirk to them. They vary in length. I mean, Charleston Muni is pretty long in regulation size. Pacific Grove on the shorter side, as with Goat Hill Park, and then Winter Park's just a nine-holer. But the work done there, they've inserted interesting architecture. The settings are superb. So interesting municipal golf. That's one of the things I love. And you see just all walks of life out there, compared to a private country club, which is sort of elite. You're seeing every sort of person you could possibly think could make their way to a golf course at a Muni. So love that.
Well, Al, again, good way to put it. That everyman's quality of being able to get out at a pretty cool place at an affordable price. And so you're not expecting the service bells and whistles that you would get in a major resort, nor necessarily the conditioning. You hope that the conditioning is sufficiently good to allow the architecture to do its thing. Beyond that, I don't have any more expectations with that. But I was lucky enough to grow up in the suburbs of Cleveland, Ohio, and on the west side of town, we had a golf course called Sleepy Hollow that was more known for the fact that Charlie Sifford was the pro there for many, many years. But, and I didn't even realize this till I left Cleveland, actually. It was designed by Stanley Thompson, the Canadian great who did so many of Canada's top courses. But he had an office in Cleveland for a few years as well, when Cleveland was booming in the 1920s. And you could see just how great the architecture was, even if it wasn't in terrific condition. As I understand it now, things are going great there. But you had a Donald Ross Muni, Manakiki in Cleveland. When I moved out to Phoenix, we had Papago. I mean, an absolutely fabulous
Yeah.
golf course that could have been one of the top private courses here. Big, rolling, good views. The Papago Buttes, the weird sandstone formations. And then going to school in Tucson, my undergrad at University of Arizona, we had a number of good munis, Randolph Park being one of them. And now it's Randolph and the Del Urich, both of which have hosted PGA Tour, LPGA Tour events. And man, Friday afternoon, you got $15 in your pocket and you want to go play some golf. And Randolph was a great, great place to go do that. So there is something special. I know there's a debate out there as to whether municipalities should be in the business of owning/operating golf courses, but it isn't that different than owning a park that has basketball and skateboarding and the rest of it. And I just think with a little education and knowledge and more understanding from the populace that golf is incredibly popular, and why not make that available to the citizens at a fraction of the price you would pay elsewhere?
Yeah, salt of the earth, these places, and then the people who are there playing them. Papago, I wish I would have thought of that one on my list as I was rifling those off. That's a great one. Okay, let's start with whatever you've got on your list, Joe.
Well, mine will be on the quick side, rarely for me. But, tops on my list was the first time that you go to a golf course that you've long anticipated going to, either watching a tournament or, playing it, which is that much more fun. I mean, I am up there in years, and I remember how I felt at 17, at 15, at 22 about going to play one of the famous courses or the highly ranked courses or something like that. That feeling is still with me. I call it kid at Christmas.
Hmm.
You're just so excited to unwrap this package and get there and play it. So, I mean, most recently going to San Francisco in November for the Architect Society annual meeting, getting to see the work that Gil Hanse did at the Olympic Club. It's a little different course than it had been, with trees cleared out and some added bunkering and some changes, and then getting to play for the first time the Meadow Club up north of San Francisco in Fairfax, Alister MacKenzie's first American design. And given how I feel and how I felt about Alister MacKenzie for 40, 45 years, it was a cool box to check to finally play the Meadow Club. And so that's my number, kind of my top item, so to speak.
Yeah, when I saw that on your list, I started thinking about where I would have felt that anticipation. One of the first ones I thought of was the ocean course at Kiowa. Definitely felt, you know, juiced to be actually checking that one off the list. Bandon Dunes was another one. You've just been hearing so much about that place for years. To finally get and make that voyage out there was big. And then when I was a kid, me and my dad went and played the Old North State Club here in North Carolina, and I just remember that being like one of the top courses in the state, and getting an opportunity to play there was like, what's this going to be like? So I love that feeling of standing on the first tee and like it's happening. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, even milling about the pro shop before the round, there's a little bit of this nervous, positive energy going on. Like, yeah, okay, this is all well and good, but let's get to the first tee.
For sure, for sure. One of the things I really love to do, and I have done since I was very young, is collecting things. Everyone has their own sort of collections, a accumulation of junk seen by some, but rare and valuable treasures by those who actually have them. So, in the golf world, my collections have consisted of balls, the ball display with logos from places that you've been, ball markers too, which is a particularly it can be expensive or it can be inexpensive depending on if the club offers them complimentary at the first tee or not. You might have to buy it in the shop as you do with balls. But the best one for me that I've loved doing is individual golf tees. For the most part, every course has their own unique tee with the name of their club on it. Sometimes it's a different color. Often they're green with gold or white writing, but I've got a very big collection of golf tees now. Those are always free and they're unique. Nothing worse than going and finding that they just have a plain pencil with nothing on it, and I can't add that to my collection. But I mean, I've got over 100 probably now of these little golf pencils that I've collected, and have a display that I can't possibly fit them all on. So I've had to, do a an audit of sorts of my collection and figure out which ones I wanted to display. But it brings me joy just kind of looking at the pencils, looking at the names of the places I've been and played over time. So, Joe, do you have any collections that you love that are golf related?
Well, most famously, Al, I have and have had a pretty serious scorecard collection.
Yeah.
Uh, Partly because I played so many golf courses, and a friend of mine when I was a teenager who was an actual good golfer, played for his high school team, was collecting scorecards, and he had maybe 25, 30 different ones. So my collection probably has more than 3,000 right now, but scattered in file boxes, not organized terribly well these days. The other stuff I've accumulated because I'm a course collector, playing in different states, playing in different countries, and then all the opportunities we've had in the media of either purchasing or being granted a shirt, a hat, with logos and so forth. As you were talking about pencils, I reached into my desk drawer here as I clean these out every so often, and found a couple good candidates. Desert Highlands. Of course, I'm going to talk about soon. Desert Forest. Here's the Snake River Sporting Club.
Ooh.
There you go. From Wyoming, a Tom Weiskopf design. And who knows? I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pencils and ball marks and bag tags. I was known as the guy with all the bag tags, and eventually you purge and start fresh. Keep one just for identification. A bunch more slapped on, but yeah, I mean the scorecard deal was just even when I was visiting someplace and couldn't play, I would pop into the pro shop, ask if I could have a scorecard, and just have a memory of that place and what's going on with it. And then I was one little jolt uh, in a St. Andrews visit from about 10 or 12 years ago. And I wasn't playing the old course on that visit, but I wondered if I might grab a scorecard. And they said, yeah, that'll be 50p. Wow. Wow. Wait, I thought scorecards were all free.
Yeah.
Not there. And a little bit disillusioning, although I paid it. And
Yeah, right.
and out we went. So I'm actually trying to get, when I find just a little time, get these various aggregations together and find them a worthy home.
Mhm.
because they're just too much for the space we now have in our lives.
Sure. Yeah, understand that well. For some people, it's hats. For some people, it's polos. Joe and I are very cheap, is what I've learned. So we'll take the free route when we can get it.
There you
Okay.
go.
All right. Yeah. What's next for you?
Yeah, very similar to visiting a course for the first time that you're excited about. It's revisiting a favorite course or even a favorite golf hole that just kind of gets you going. And you're, yes, I'm actually excited about getting a chance at this again, either because it's so good or something memorable happened, or both, or something bad happened and you want to make good and so forth. So I had this very recently. I had a great week of golf out here in Arizona with friends that were in. And on Saturday, I got to go play what had long been our state's top ranked course for 25, 30 years, Desert Forest Golf Club in Carefree. And was a long time top 100 kind of golf course, and really the first big time desert course that was ever built, that went through the desert in the natural contours and so forth. And I played there, a decent number of times since the 1980s. But I jump back and I get onto Desert Forest and I want to go back out to the seventh hole, which was a par five, designed again by the Desert Fox, Red Lawrence, and it had a split fairway. And if you could reach the long carry to the right fairway, you had a better angle and a chance of holding the green, getting home in two. And the going the safer left route still had to carry a wash to a little tougher angle. In 1965, 3 years after Desert Forest opened, Dan Jenkins, then of Sports Illustrated, gave it an honorable mention as one of the best seventh holes in the United States. He had named Pine Valley's seventh number his top pick. But I was again dismayed to learn that last year, when the Pac 12 championship came there at 551 par four, five, they converted it to a par four for those long hitting college smashers.
Mm.
And as it happened, is it Carl Phillips that I
Name
think from
sounds
Australia
familiar.
that just won the Puerto Rico Open, and he won the Pac-12 title. And then Riggs Johnston of Arizona State was runner-up, and then he went and won the Australian Open late last year. So great golf course, it still is, but shocked to comprehend that those guys are so long that classic split fairway par five played as a par four.
Gotcha. I thought of Grandfather Golf and Country Club as a favorite course that I love revisiting every single time. Golf hole, I mean, playing the seventh at Pebble recently, that's it's always a thrill. Uh, and I hit 7 iron from 98 yards this time. As I mentioned previously, that 40-mile-an-hour wind, and was about pin high, about 20 yards left. So I still made bogey, but yeah, that was a different experience for playing that hole this time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. Uh, I'm going to rifle off, Joe, a few that kind of need no explanation, but just sort of quick things that I like. And then there's a couple more I have that I'll go a little bit more into detail on. But um, first one, a drama filled Sunday tournament round. If you're watching tournament golf, or Monday, as we just saw, extending into Monday for the Players' Championship. Uh, I think there's nothing worse than when someone runs away with a tournament and is clearly going to win, never really lets their foot off the gas and gets anyone else close. Just no juice in that for the viewer. Like it's great, good for whoever that golfer is, and maybe it's a guy who's been dominating like Scheffler or um, I just it is so uninteresting for me to watch when there's not people close and there's no drama in a win on a Sunday. Yeah, definitely love it when the adverse of that happens and you do get high intensity, a lot of people in contention, and it comes down to the wire. Um, Another thing, hot dog at the turn. I mean, what's better than that? just adding a little sustenance to you. Oftentimes, if you're playing around the lunch hour, you haven't had a proper lunch, so you just need something to get you through the next nine. Dog at the turn works every time. And then spraying off your golf shoes with an air hose. This is sort of a quirky thing at the end of the round. Oh, I love, oddly satisfying. I used to follow an account, I think on Instagram. It's just oddly satisfying things that you watch and you just kind of like, wow, like that's great. But I love just spraying the wet grass off the shoes. Out at Pebble, at Spyglass, I think it's just at Pebble too. They call it the Spyglass shoe treatment. So that you have someone air hosing your shoes for you as you're sitting down. Then they get inside the shoe and spray your foot. What a sensation that is. The cold air on your feet after walking 18 holes. Uh, yeah, love those things. Any comments there?
Folks, I doubt you have ever heard someone rhapsodize so eloquently about the pleasure of getting that air hose on your shoes.
Isn't it the
And
best?
yet, and yet, if you've done it, absolutely right. Al, as far as hot dogs go, I know there are healthy alternatives. Turkey wraps and sandwiches seem to be very popular, and the rest. But as someone, when I was in my traveling Joe mode, and it was described of me by me, he's eaten more halfway house hot dogs than any man alive. And I was relatively proud of that fact, but it's still my go-to. I had one at the Boulders when just 2 days ago. Good sized knockwurst looking thing with poppy seed bun. Very, very good. And then, yeah, for televised golf, it's no different than any televised sport. You want to be entertained, whether you're watching hoops, a football game, whatever it is. I mean, if there is a runaway and there's nothing competitive about it, there's nothing really compelling you to be there. For television golf, for me, I do like the prospect of weather coming on. I did think about my Saturday golf game this past Saturday and like, oh wow, because players was expecting 30-mile-an-hour winds, and like I want to see how those guys cope, with that kind of wind. So, beyond that, I get excited about televised golf, especially when there is a either conditions, weather conditions, course
Yeah.
conditions, or a certain course that like, okay, this is absolutely must view stuff for me. When the Walker Cup comes around this fall at Cypress Point, I don't believe I'll be in attendance, but you can bet I will be riveted no matter what the score is because I want to see Cypress Point.
Fair enough. And quickly, I'll circle back. The hot dog. It's reliable. It's handheld. It's uh. There's nothing worse though than like a dehydrated hot dog. If you've ever had a bad hot dog at the turn, there's nothing that makes you more frustrated because you're just like, I've been looking forward to this, and yeah, the shoes thing too. That like, what would you rather do? You have the air hose or be clapping your shoes in the parking lot like a seal, like a barking seal? I mean, you never get all the grass off. Like, there's no winning with that situation. So the air hose, clutch.
No question. Well, Al, I've got a couple more favorites in my department. One of them is the pleasure of walking links golf courses. And when I say that, I mean more modest links. I'm not talking about the trophy club stuff of St. Andrews and Carnoustie and Turnberry and those kind of golf courses. I'm talking about kind of the smaller but still full regulation layouts that are really old, like Crail, the
Hmm.
Balcomie course that dates to the 1800s near St. Andrews. And then north, up near Royal Dornoch, is a course called Brora, which has cows on part of the golf course, and the sea kind of hits you near the ninth hole, and they're relatively easy walks because it's short. And even though there's some good movement to the land, maybe there's some weather going on, but you feel most closely connected spiritually to how golf was invented and what they did. I mean, St. Andrews is an easy walk, but I mean, it is a bit of a federal production, getting your tee time and having that all unfold. At the smaller links courses that I love, like Crail and Brora, very almost spiritual connection to how golf started. And pop your bag on or use a trolley and go. The next one, very relatable from just this past weekend. When you have a warm day and you finish up and you all meet for that first beer.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that first beer, I'm a beer drinker, okay, but I don't drink as much as I used to. Doesn't always agree with my system like it did as a younger guy. But on a warm day, is there anything that's so perfect? I know there's water, don't lecture me, but having that beer, and whether you want a second beer or more, that's your business. But that first sip of a nice cold beer, and you're celebrating the end of a fun day on the golf course. That's my take on warm day first beer. And then in a related category, on a warm day, uh, is that time in the round that you shed your outerwear. You finally get to take off the sweater, the quarter zip, the vest, whatever it is. Like, I'm loose, it's warm. Now we're going to unleash and no longer be constricted by this garment that's trying to keep me warm.
Yes. Oh, shedding the layers. That's good stuff. I always like I tend to run cold, so I keep the layers on for a while. But that when the time is right. And you're like, okay, I hit this shot. Maybe by the time I get to the green, we're losing it. Or it could be right before you tee off. But when that moment is. And I was thinking, beer, great. But a really hot day, if you get a really cold Gatorade, that hits the right spot too.
Okay, fair enough. And again, I know there's some healthy people out there that prefer healthier beverages, and that's all good. As I say, I'm not a big beer drinker these days, but that first one usually did it. And yeah, we were playing Weekapaw on Monday, and had like the warmest day in 2 weeks, and wow, just went down right on that patio overlooking the mountains and the 18th hole on the Choya, and just a sweet experience. And then the boulders, just on Tuesday. Again, chilly start here. We had some rare wind, as you did at Pebble, to be that strong,
Hmm.
but rare wind here. And then it finally started warming up, and the wind calmed down on the back nine. And then, kind of look around like Jack Nicklaus did at the 18th hole, his playoff at St. Andrews in 1970. That's it. I'm taking it off. We're going to let the big dog eat.
Good deal. All right, I got two more to end my list, then I'll let you have at it with yours. Uh, Nothing better than holing out or chipping in or making a long putt and seeing it go in the hole when you just absolutely never thought that that would be the end result of your shot. I just did this, Joe. Spyglass, fourth hole, the long, skinny hourglass green. My drive goes right into the dune. I punch out from there. I got about 70 yards, pins right in the middle, and knock that one in for birdie. And kind of just
Oh,
watched it slow roll and drop. Just felt like it just kept going and going right towards it. And then, yes, it went in. Uh, these are the shots that just you'll remember forever. It could be that long putt you make, and these are the sort of things that just keep you coming back. For some people, it's as simple as good contact, and you finally did what you wanted on a drive or some sort of shot. But when you actually have the thrill of it going in the cup, when it's not just a 5 footer for bogey or something like that, that you'll just remember that forever. And hole in ones, absolutely. But I think holing out from the fairway is like so unexpected that when it happens, you're just elated from it. It's one it's really really cool, um, and that I loved getting that on a hole that is like the signature hole at Spyglass. So um, last one for me, and it's going to, I thought of this as soon as I wrote it down, of course, because I saw on your list a little bit of the adverse to it, but some people think this is crazy. I like playing golf alone sometimes. Not always, of course, but on the occasion that you get to go out there and it's just you in a group, um, you can drop two balls out there if you want to, but just to be in your own thoughts, you don't have to worry about making conversation with anyone in your group or waiting on their shots. You can be in complete silence, like I sort of like to do, and just hear your surroundings. You're just focusing on the golf shots. Usually, no music for me. I'm just totally taking in the silence of everything and being alone with your thoughts, where it's just you and the golf. I love playing alone. It's very cathartic, and some people think that's crazy, but just in the odd instance that you get that, or you like I used to do when I was younger, here at my parents' house right now, I could walk out the door and play 6 holes by myself, and no better way to end a day than that.
Well, I would say that as a singular, solitary kind of pleasure, as a favorite thing in golf. I would think it's a lot harder these days to enjoy that, given how full the tee sheets are.
Hmm.
But if you can find an opportunity like that, Al, you mentioned the word cathartic, which is the way most people think when they go for a great walk. And what you're describing is a great walk or riding,
Yeah.
but when you can have your thoughts to yourself and let them turn in any direction and not have to deal with conversation or other outside stimuli, it's just you and that piece of nature.
Hmm.
Um, and no question about it. So I remember doing kind of my number ones list a number of years back, and I listed that as a round I had actually at San Francisco Golf Club, where I had gone out to do a piece, and pro said, if you want to go out and play, go right ahead. Late in the afternoon, kind of fog rolling in. You're absolutely by yourself on that golf course. And it actually got pretty eerie. And the seventh hole, nobody there. That's the dual hole where the state senator in California and the state Supreme Court justice like had a duel, the last duel, and one shot the other, and all. And I'm like, okay, there's just a little too many weird things going on. I think I'm going to pick up my pace and go in, at San Francisco Golf Club. But yeah, when you do get that experience, and it's more unusual these days, something to treasure for sure. So
Right.
I might say, with what's left for me, Al, I love, and my golf game, no matter how decent it was 20 years ago, I still felt the same way now as I did then. Tackling a great short par three,
Hmm.
because every single time you get onto the tee box, you like, I want to make a good swing, hit a good shot. But you're also thinking, what if I got a hole in one here? I mean, that little tiny, just do everything right and maybe it'll happen at these spectacular short par threes where it's all within our reach, pretty much no matter what kind of player you are. So when I think of Pebbles 7th, Cypress is 15th, here in Tucson, Ventana Canyon, third hole, 107 yards in the desert. Uh, Another one I like that doesn't always get a lot of love, as far as compared to the others there, Bandon Trails, fifth hole, par three, that Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw. I just love the framing, the scale of the hole. It's just big, and
Hmm.
yet the hole's tiny, 133 yards. Anyway, you get the feeling there's some others out there, but that's how I look every time I step up at a great short par three. To end this, I would say, the other items that made my short list on this topic, a great caddy experience. And not everybody is comfortable with a caddy if you're not used to it. It's just almost feels kind of intrusive, kind of intimidating. But when the caddy experience is right and you begin to warm to that and eventually love it, you think about caddies as cheerleaders, as coaches, as confidants, as companions that are helping you enjoy the round by playing better, more relaxed, taking care of some of the raking, the reads on the putts, and everything else. And I had one this past December that you well remember, Al, down at Apogee, great new private club in Florida. But I happened to have as my caddy someone who looked familiar to me of my age and sounded familiar. And it was a gentleman named Van Earl Wright, who had been a star sports broadcaster with CNN in the 1980s, late 80s, maybe early 90s, had gone on to Fox in LA and spent some time in his hometown in Detroit, and decided later in life he was just going to do a career switch and found he loved being on a golf course and doing the caddy thing. So with his enthusiasm and this voice, kind of incredible television radio voice cutting through the clutter, but even on both golf courses, the experience was totally enhanced by having a caddy that was good. You really enjoyed the company, and it was something that made the day even that much more special.
That was a first for me to have like a caddy that was borderline famous. I mean, definitely a famous guy. I didn't know who he was at first. It was a little bit before my time, but having looked him up and found him, you were totally excited about this, and I had to like figure out why. But he was great. He did a fantastic job, and I totally agree with you. When you have a good caddy that puts you at ease, keeps things positive, and small talk is good, and does his job right, it's the best. And you can just walk and enjoy your game and see things you wouldn't have seen if it was just you out there trying to figure the course out.
Absolutely. And you can concentrate on some of the things you want to concentrate on as the caddy's helping out with the rest.
For sure.
It does just add to the experience in such a major way when it's right. And, go out and find one of those.
These were some of our favorite things. Mostly, I think people can relate with. Maybe a little weird and wacky in there too, but that's what it's all about. Everyone's got their own reasons for why they like golf, and would love to hear from people about, especially like the very small things, like the air hose. I want to hear what people have to say is their like strangest obsession with golf. That's what I'm looking forward to hearing.
But so many of these are related to your happy place, and that's why they're your favorite things, my favorite things. And it isn't just getting the ball in the hole; it is the golf experience and everything related to it on why we love it. Well, we're so passionate about it for all these years.
Just like Happy Gilmore when he has to find his happy place out there, this is how we do it. Hot dog,
Right?
mustard, ketchup, relish. Get on your way. Hopefully the seagulls don't take it from you.
Sounds like another story in the making, Al.
If we get another episode about things we hate about golf, maybe that's one of those for me, is when you leave the green and the birds come in and take something out of your cart and fly away with it. Like, come on. Like, how do they even get in there and get that? Like, they're trained professionals.
No, yeah, no kidding. And it's happened to me at Pebble Beach, and I chalk it up to the experience, right?
Absolutely. All right. For Joe, pass off. I'm Al Lunsford. Talk to you next time.